This is the number 3,546,281. This table shows the place value of each of the digits. Looking at the table, you can see that we multiply by 10 each time. So we have units, tens, hundreds, thousands. Some people think that millions come straight after thousands, but it's actually 10,000s, then 100,000s, and then 1,000 thousands we call a million. This is a typical exam question. I'm asked to write down the value of the 6 in this number. I can use my table to do this and see that the 6 is in the thousands column, so it must be 6,000. 6,000. I now need to write down the value of the 4. The 4 is in the 10,000s column, so it must be 40,000. For most people, writing numbers like 17,842 is straightforward, but sometimes you'll be asked to write numbers like 500,000 or 750,000 or 1 3/4 million. To do this, you need to remember that a million is 1,000,000, so 500,000 is 500,000. 3/4 million will be 750,000. Here are some questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go at them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. Here are some more questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go at them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. This is a common exam question, which people quite often get wrong. Before we look at the question, I'd like to just look at two numbers, 0.09 and 0.1. Which of these two is the bigger number? The way to do this is to make sure that they've both got the same amount of numbers after the decimal point. To do that, I'm going to put a 0 here, so that this one has two numbers and so does this one. To find the biggest number, we now begin from the left and we look for the biggest number. These are both zeros. This one is 0, but then this one is 1. So this one must be bigger than this one. If we think about it in terms of money, this would be 9 pence and this would be 10 pence. So clearly this is the bigger one. Looking at the question, I can see that this number and this number have three numbers after the decimal point, so they all need to have three numbers after the decimal point. So 0.56 I'm going to rewrite as 0.560. Then we have 0.067. 0.6 becomes 0.600. 0.65 becomes 0.650. 0.605. And then 1.010. Now the question asked me to start with the smallest number, so I'm going to be looking for the smallest. If I start on the left and look at these numbers, I can see I have zeros or 1, so one of these with the zeros must be the smallest. I now look at the next column. I've got a 5, a 0 or 6's, so the 0 must be the smallest. This is the smallest number. Now for the next number, it's going to be one of the ones beginning with a 0. Look at the next column, I've got a choice of 5 or 6, so the 5 must be the smallest. Remember that this number was actually 0.56. Next number, it's going to be one of these three. The next digit is always a 6, so I'm going to look at the next one where I have a choice of 0, 5 or 0. It's going to be one of the two zeros, but I need to look at the next number, where I have a choice of 0 or 5, so it must be this one, which was actually 0.6. Now it's one of these two. Again, I have two 6's, but in the next column I have a 5 or a 0, so this is the smallest one. Now looking here, I have 0 or 1, so this one must be the smallest of those two. And finally, this is the biggest number. When you have a question that involves negatives, the best thing to do is to think of a number line. Here I've circled my numbers on my number line and we can now see what order they need to be in. -10, then -6, -4, 2, and then 5. Here are some questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers for those questions. Here are some more practice questions for you. Press pause and try them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers to those questions. I want to round the number 63 to the nearest 10. If I draw a number line, I can see that 63 is closer to 60 than it is to 70. So 63 to the nearest 10 is 60. If I was asked to round 65 to the nearest 10, it's exactly in the middle of 60 and 70. By convention, we always round 65 up to 70. I now want to round 546 to the nearest 10. I can see that this will be 550 because it's closer to 550 than it is to 540. If I use a number line to show this, I can see that 546 is here, closer to 550. You don't need to draw a number line every time you want to do one of these questions. I'm just using them for demonstration. I now want to round 873 to the nearest 100. I can see that because this is over 850, it's closer to 900. Using my number line, I can see that 873 is about here, which is closer to 900 than it is to 800. I now want to round 9,247 to the nearest 1,000. Because this is below 9,500, I can see that it's going to be 9,000. Using my number line, 9,247 is here, and that's closer to 9,000 than it is to 10,000. Here are 4 questions for you to try. Press pause and have a go at them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. The difference between 20 and 30 is 10, and we've got 10 spaces here. 10 divided by 10 is 1, so each step is worth 1. So this one is 21 and this one is 22. The arrow is pointing exactly in the middle of 21 and 22, so it must be pointing to 21.5. The difference between 6 and 7 is 1, and again it's been split into 10 steps. 1 divided by 10 is 0.1. So this is 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. Just to check that I'm right, this is 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9, and this would be 7. So 6.4 was the right answer. Here are two for you to try. Press pause and have a go at them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. The difference between 0 and 1,000 is 1,000, and if we split that into 10 parts, it's 100 each. So this is 100, this is 200. Just to check, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, which is 1,000. So 200 is the right answer. The difference between 200 and 300 is 100, and we have 10 equal parts again. 100 divided by 10 is 10, so each part is 10. So we have 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 60, 70, and 280. The arrow is pointing exactly in between 270 and 280, so it must be pointing to 275. These questions are a little different. If we look at the arrow, we'll notice it's not pointing to a whole number, so we need to be as accurate as we can be. I can see that this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. I know that it's between 3 and 4. I'm now going to mark on 3.5, just here. I can now see that the arrow is pointing exactly to the middle of 3 and 3.5, so it must be pointing to 3.25. In an exam, I would be given the mark for 3.2, 3.25 or 3.3. Remember, the only thing you can do is be as accurate as you can. Press pause and have a go at the second question. When you're ready for the answer, press play. For this question, you would get the mark for any of the following answers: 7.7, 7.75, or 7.8. Here are three more for you to try. Press pause and have a go at them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. And another three for you to try. On this last one, you need to be as accurate as you can. Press pause and have a go at them. When you're ready for the answers, press play. Here are the answers. Notice that on this last one, these are the possible answers you could have had.